this is a huge part of why home ownership is so important to many Americans. In essence, the mortgage interest deduction allows a homeowner to write off the amount of interest paid on their primary residence from their tax bill. And the reason it's so important is because it provides an estimated $100 billion in tax relief for Americans each year. Now, proponents say that it helps add stability to the housing market and makes home ownership more affordable. But, Betty, critics say that it only benefits a smaller portion of Americans who live in some of those higher cost areas.
And I'd imagine that there are a few critics of cutting this deduction. I mean, housing is one of the sectors that's recovering, but it's still a fragile recovery.
That's right, Betty. Well, by some metrics, yes, here. If you take mortgage applications, look at this, because it's up 47% this year. Yeah, some of it's driven by refinancings. Home prices are rebounding off their post-recession lows here. They're up about 7.5% so far this year. And finally, the S&P Home Building Index. It's made up of names like Pulte Homes, D.R. Horton, Lennar, big home builders, up about 100% so far this year. And you can imagine that those in the housing industry may be worried about getting rid of it if this recovery for housing is so fragile, especially CEOs of home builders like Doug Yearley over at Toll Brothers.
It would be very unfortunate. I think it would be, it'd be really tough on housing. Housing right now is leading this economy back. That's where jobs are going. And I think Washington has to be sensitive to that. They've got to get a deal done so we continue the momentum we have.
Now, getting rid of this deduction may cause home buyers to scale down the size of their home purchases. Now, this could be painful in markets like New York, San Francisco, L.A., where home prices are relatively high. Now, all told, Betty, it comes down to whether or not $100 billion in deficit reductions is worth slowing the very sector that many believe is leading us out of recession.